What's happening, people? Happy Bitcoin Fork Day. I think we could take happiness in the fact that today Bitcoin has officially actually figured out not only just consensus but cell division or blockchain division, governance division at $40 billion, right? Of course, there's a bunch of details and things happening in the background, and everybody's like, thinks the other one is the CIA or something, but fundamentally, as far as the tech goes, as far as the crypto and the blockchains go, cell division is basically happening right now. And what I mean by that is there's this kind of fascinating phenomenon in sort of biology where, like, when cells multiply, the DNA of the cell gets sort of, makes another copy of itself, and that copy has a bit of a difference because of certain kind of mechanisms in it, and then that, a variety of the organs in the cell, probably all of them eventually get duplicated, right? Like new copies of the whole thing is made, and then they start to split off, right? And as they split off, the membrane of the cell starts to close in and sever the connection between the two, and then boom, you have two cells. That's what's happening with Bitcoin right now, and it's fantastic. It's fantastic because now we have SegWit free to do what SegWit wants to do, and then we have Bitcoin Cash, and they can do whatever they want to do. And who's right and who's wrong? Like, can you read the code? Can you read the source code? I can't read the source code, right? So if you can't read the source code, all you're doing is sort of listening to people's interpretations of the source code, right? It's similar to that whole argument that you don't know what you're running. Like, you don't actually you're trusting somebody else if you don't do your own math about the Bitcoin. Sort of, if you don't validate your own copy of the blockchain. It's the same thing with the source code, right? If you can't validate that, if you can't actually read the code, at the end of the day, you are sort of, making a judgment call, a trust-based call. And I'm not saying that it's false. Like, humans can be fairly effective at judging characters sometimes, but we're not perfect. We have limited capacity for memory, limited capacity to remember people and people's sort of behavior over time in order to build a profile and predict their behavior in the future. We can't remember everybody, and there's so many people, and in the Bitcoin space, there's so many people, so much information, and just so much technical nuance to everything that I'd be impressed if anybody got anything 100% right. I mean, it would be unbelievable, right? It'd be like, everybody's got, people sort of find their niches and their personalities, lead them here and lead them there, and people sort of, go with whatever they think makes sense, right? And at the end of the day, it's not gonna be, we're not gonna have certainty about whether SegWit is, the true will of Satoshi, or if it's like a Trojan horse, poison pill. We won't know until, I guess we won't know until further along, right? And obviously, or people that can sort of look at that code and sort of really analyze it can sort of figure it out. But if you're in the general public, it's kind of tricky and difficult, right? I mean, it is. And I mean, here's one, and the same thing for Bitcoin Cash, right? Like, is Bitcoin Cash gonna work? Core says that they won't, but people are trying it anyways, right? And maybe they'll adapt, and maybe they can figure it out, or maybe they can't, right? There's certainly scalability questions about the amount of transaction throughput that you would have to handle in those sort of with full on-chain scaling. But if they do both, right, they just open up, like, they're trying to stay true to the vision of Satoshi, right? And it's respectable, right? And they fork off, and they have their own brand and all that stuff, Bitcoin Cash. And you can say that it's an altcoin, but I mean, is it an altcoin? Because it's being forked out of a community disagreement through a copy of the chain, right? I mean, you can say that it's an altcoin, but it's a copy of the original Bitcoin, and it's maintaining most of the same things as Bitcoin, except certain very small changes. This isn't like an Ethereum. This isn't like Peercoin or something, right? Like, this isn't, it's an actual copy of Bitcoin trying to do Bitcoin and not changing a great deal of things, right? So compared to other altcoins, it's pretty close to what Bitcoin is, right? Anyways, I mean, all I'm trying to say is like this is a good thing, because now they're both free. Both these communities are free from each other. We can stop this, like, spewing contempt and distrust at each other, and it's not like that's only the only thing that happens, because there's also a great deal of sort of communication that emerges after the initial sort of clashes. People end up sort of settling and becoming more reasonable, and there is sort of like a professionalism and a sort of scientist kind of quality that does emerge sometimes, even though there's all kinds of accusations of lies heaped back and forth. And I'm not saying that they're false, right? I don't know, right? Like, I'm thinking, like, there's this thing on Bitcoin on Reddit r/BTC about like Maxwell and Peter Todd, and this one thing about SegWit and all that. You're now both free. You can go and pursue your thing, and obviously I'm not saying that stop engaging. You keep doing what you're doing, right? But this is a very good thing that Bitcoin has figured out governance at 40 billion and cell division, right? Because now SegWit is going to go like a slingshot, and Bitcoin Cash is going to go like a slingshot, and I would not be surprised to see $5,000 Bitcoin at the end of the year, like Bitcoin SegWit, right? In fact, I feel like that's conservative. I feel like that we could really hit 6, maybe even 8,000. I don't know. I'm just totally feeling it out. But seriously, man, American Spirit cigarettes. So this is good news. I'm excited about this. I think we should celebrate. So happy Bitcoin Fork Day. This should be the official Bitcoin fork symbol. And you have an awesome day. Enjoy the show. I think Toned Vase and Charlie Shrim were doing like some content and stuff. It's plenty to look at if you're into Bitcoin right now, and this is a historical day. That's all I got. Have a good one, guys.